And welcome back. Today we are taking a look at the Mirage 2000C-S5, and this thing actually feels quite alright. I can't believe I'm saying it because I'm seeing this French flag in the top left corner and I was just instantly expecting a disappointment, but this time it is actually quite alright. There's one thing with it, of course, because it's still French in the end, and the rip speed of this thing is criminally low. It should be higher, but right now it's 1365 IAS. Not extremely high. You have the same rip speed as the MiG-21 BIS basically, so you're not really gonna outrun anyone. But other than that, this thing is very comparable to the C7. But the Mirage has working weapons. The 530Ds, quite alright. Magic 2s, probably the best IR missile in the game right now, or at least the conventional one. I don't really count the R24s. Still have the DEFAs. It has more power than the Kafir, however the Kafir does accelerate slightly better. But keep in mind the Kafir will also go like 1450 on the deck, which is ridiculous. A lot of countermeasures, massive wing area, so it is pretty damn maneuverable, and the speed loss isn't that much of an issue. And the biggest benefit of this wing is it doesn't randomly rip on you like the Kafir or the Mirage 5, the Mirage 3C, the Mirage 3E and all those other planes do. So basically in every regard this thing is better than the other things that we have, other than unfortunately the top speed and then of course the acceleration of the Kafir. A few things to take notice of: you want to make sure you make a custom loadout, otherwise you can bring both of the missile sets. There's no real reason to run anything else for air-to-air. Secondly, thank you to all my patrons. And thirdly, I actually have a link right now. You can buy things through the guys in store. Through my link you'll get a discount. You don't get a decal just yet, so if you buy it right now with my link you're not getting a decal yet, but we are designing it, so stay tuned for that one. So what is it like to fly this thing? First things first, most of your kills will not be with the guns. They are going to be magics as well as the 530Ds, and the 530Ds are superior to the 530F because it doesn't have that pulse seeker. This thing doesn't get chaffed by a singular thing. The radar seems pretty solid, and I had no problems basically slamming everyone that I maintained a lock on, which is a great start for a plane like this. Lock up the F-14. You're gonna shoot a missile at him. I know I shoot first. My missile should hit before his. I get a contact and then we dodge it. Yeah, I thought my missile would hit him and then it wouldn't track me anymore, but I haven't played top tier in a while, so I'm going to make more mistakes like that. But this plane, honestly, it feels quite good. I've been having somewhat fun. I don't like top tier, but it didn't feel bad at all. It's responsive. The guns still blow dick, but you know, the DEFAs do feel a little bit more consistent, and I think some people on Reddit have speculated this, and I've been talking about it there as well, that it might be the fuel tank explosions. I've been hitting people, I've been taking wings off, I've been blowing people up with a few rounds. Still, they're very slow, they're annoying to aim, they're easy to dodge, and the plane itself does feel kind of awkward to aim still. And if you use keyboard inputs or mouse input, the plane feels very different with a different kind of control schemes, which I don't really like. But that's kind of the nature of the Mirage. That is still there, so you're gonna feel at home. It's infinitely better than the F1C. You have the same top speed, you have better missiles or the same missiles, you have the same guns. You accelerate better, you turn better. You basically do everything better. So if you have grinded through everything and you've already been liking French, you are going to absolutely adore this thing. It looks good, it feels good, it handles well. The only problem is again the top speed, but the top speed isn't that much of an issue, and that's mainly because this thing actually accelerates and it doesn't bleed as much speed. The problem you will find yourself in with a Mirage 3 or a Mirage 5 or basically anything that isn't a Kafir, the second you are going defensive you are dead. Why? Because you're gonna bleed all your speed and you're not really going to regaining it. And then on top of that you might actually rip your wings off. This thing, I haven't really ripped it, other than this one time. And it's kind of funny because I was actually thinking that to myself. I haven't ripped it today yet, and then it happened of course in that one match. But it doesn't really do it. I've been running it on 20 minutes. It does drink fuel quite substantially on full burner. So we are going to go back to the half afterburner trick. You go to 100%, you scroll up until it says WEP, and then you will notice that you'll have very low fuel consumption, or at least low for an afterburner. Because it's still like 2 seconds a second, but with full afterburner it's going to be 4 seconds a second. And you really do want to make sure that the opening in this thing is pretty good. Because the 530Ds, while they are pretty solid if you get the shot off and it tracks them and it hits them, that's all great. They're not particularly quick. So you will find yourself, when you start jousting, you really need to get that missile off first. And if you don't, you are going to have a little bit of a problem, because that missile is probably going to hit you before you hit them. And this is what's going to happen very often. You just see all the phoenixes coming in across the map. The second you see that, I just like to do 180, poof, there they go. That's 4 phoenixes out of the match, just like that. All you have to do is turn around. So have to pay attention when you are facing phantoms, tomcats, because they are still the main dominant force in this game. They're still pretty damn dangerous. The problem with that is, or rather the benefit of that is, everyone flocks to it, and most people are not really particularly good at flying it. So you might be able to get away with the dogfighting an F-14. If you start on his 6, pretty doable. But if it's a normal 1v1 and you actually are both somewhat good, the F-14 is just going to roll you over and shove his entire upper leg up your ass. Now that's something you are probably pretty familiar with, considering you are grinding French, but it's an experience that I don't particularly enjoy and I don't recommend. But hey, if that's your kink, I'm not going to be shaming you. The closest fight you will find yourself in is probably the Viggen, which is not bad at all, probably top 3, top 4. And this thing can hang with it. A French jet can actually hang with a top 5 plane. Which is something I thought I wasn't going to be saying for a long ass while. And after I saw it in the dev server, I saw that 1365 kilometers an hour top speed, and I was afraid that we were going to have another one of these on our hands. But luckily it's not the case, and I'm kind of repeating myself at this point. But I hope that the message is clear. It's definitely a solid plane. And of course most planes can just run away from you at all time because you're just not fast enough. And that's going to be the main issue. Magic 2s are extremely funny. And if people are not flaring or not cutting their afterburner, it's just going to track. And I love that, because a lot of guys like to just not turn the afterburner off as they are going head on even. And very often the magic will still just fly straight into it. And the reason I wasn't actually using my magics there was because nowadays when you have all 4 missiles equipped, or 2 missiles equipped, 2 different sets of missiles equipped, you deplete one of them, you can still select the one you don't have anymore. So I was trying to turn my missile on, but I couldn't because I didn't have any anymore. So I just kind of flew at them with my dick in my hand and didn't shoot anything. But hey, let's actually get into the gameplay and let's review a bit of its characteristics and why I am doing things. First of all, it's still top tier. You want to be the aggressor, you don't really want to be contested with at all, so it's going to be all about positioning, which is kind of the same. It doesn't really matter what plane you are playing, it is all going to be roughly the same. So what do I like to do? And I just like to go through the outskirts, and you can already see what is coming in here. The F-14s are again ejaculating all over the match. This is not the worst yet though, I've seen much worse, and I'll pop it in the top right there. It's pretty hilarious. I'm trying to find the F-14 that's slamming all those missiles downrange. Mirage 2000 next to me is getting locked. I waited till about 10 kilometers. See that he's still not really triggered by my pulse Doppler. He's still flying straight in. I could probably use my normal surge function there because he is a little bit higher. But he's flying at me. He's not really trying to dodge very well. And he finds the missile just like that. You can tell he was kind of trying to dodge the missile. But the missile just doesn't really care. And you really need to break the lock. And if you don't, it is going to hit you. You need to break the lock. You need to notch it. You need to chaff it if I'm not using the pulse Doppler. You need to use terrain. If I maintain that lock, it is probably going to hit you. J7E is on fire. I don't need to kill that. He is definitely dead. But just because he's on fire and he's out of the match doesn't mean he's not a threat anymore. So I'm going to wait for him to actually pitch into me. He's going to shoot a missile at me. He's stalled out. He's on fire. He's going to do absolutely nothing. But I just wanted to make absolutely sure that he wasn't actually going to kill me. So he burns up very slowly in the meantime, and we are gonna go towards the middle of the map. J7 finally burns up. F1C, very tough grind, I do have to say. All the best to you. So we missile this guy in the head on. Boom. There you go. And I'm now out of 530s, and you can tell in the top left AAM2 and a Matra 530D. This is where I discovered that you can't actually queue up the next missile because you have to deselect it first. Kind of annoying, very minor thing, you just have to be aware of it. But it did catch me off guard a few times before I actually noticed what was going on. Ash-22 is bombing, not really worried about it because I see 2 F-14s in the middle of the map. One of my friendlies goes down. I see a MiG-23 and F-14. Sorry. MiG-23 goes down as I say that, and there's the second F-14 that I was waiting for. So I'm going to shoot a missile at him. He's not in the clouds. That's easily going to pull in, because Magic 2s are absolutely bullshit. And then the second one basically stalls in my guns. We set them on fire. Look at that effect. And that's 2 F-14s down in a very quick succession. First F-14 is going to be burning up, and the second F-14 is going to be absolutely swamped. And then he's going to be, I'm not really going to say stolen, he's not really dead, but he's taking a missile. He is not going to be doing very well, and down goes the F-14. And then all we have to do is mop up the last guy and back this dub. The thing is, I was going to go ground pound, I was kind of looking for targets, and then I noticed that this Su-22 is actually giving these two Mirages absolute hell. They've been dogfighting for like 2 minutes already, so I flew 15 kilometers over here to ruin his party. Su-22 is in this raid fight category now, and I just come in and I dig him out of the air. He bails out, and that is going to be, well, kind of game number 1. Game number 2, or at least the ones that I'm actually reviewing. F-14 coming in, he's going to shoot a missile at us. I'm not really going to have that, so I just turn around. Absolutely perfect. That instantly goes dud. And then I look at the MiG-27. I'm not sure if that guy needs any help, because I know Mirage F1C, Magic 2s, he's probably just dead. So I'm just going to extend away for a little bit, see how the match develops. And then I'm going to start turning back in. I see this Su-22 coming at us. He's not really prime target, but it's an easy kill nonetheless. And I just want to get these numbers down, because at the end of the day, numbers are the name of the game at top tier. Unfortunately, he actually knows how to notch, and our 530 doesn't hit him. But I'm not going to be chasing this guy for much longer. But then I notice he turns back in. So I'm just going to turn back in too, and I'm going to continue on straight. But he gets dicked on by the FGR. I then notice that Yellow Jacket is dogfighting an Su-22. So I'm going to be locking him up. I don't mean yellow. I don't mean yellow. I don't mean yellow. I don't mean yellow. Su-22 gets locked up. He is way too slow. He's going to be absolutely doing nothing to this if he doesn't have chaff. But I'm using the Pulse Doppler mode, so even if he did have chaff, it wouldn't have mattered. We kill him real quick, and then we go towards the middle of the map. MiG-23 coming in. He's shooting missiles at us, or at least at the Harrier. And the Magic 2s. The MiG-23 MLD is a hot ass target, so you might drop your flares, but you want to drop a little bit more than that, and you might want to drop your afterburner on top of that. MiG-21 here coming right over us. So what do? We go underneath it and we lock him up. They're all aspect, but sometimes they don't want to get a lock instantly, but he notices us, so we can't really shoot it at him. We turn back in, and he might be flaring, but this missile simply doesn't care. Goodbye, good night, and see you in the next game. So yet again we are kind of loitering near the outskirts, and we are looking for targets. Kind of a boring start, that's always how it is. Look behind me, and the F-14s are of course doing their things and just slamming Phoenixes all over the match. I notice it's FGR, and the reason this is important, and the reason I'm keeping this in, because we are not going to do actually anything to him. They now see a Mirage 2000 trying to flank them. Everyone knows where I am. I don't really enjoy that. People might know who I am. They see a new plane, and especially when people see a new plane, they either think it's stock, it's an easy kill, or they just want to kill it because it's a new plane. So I'm just going to turn around a second. I have a feeling I'm somewhat unspotted. Then I'm going to be turning in. I'm going to be changing my course. And then if I run into anyone, I am going to be completely golden. Because I'm already going at them. And I don't need to turn in before we can start shooting. So now we are kind of on even ground. Luckily, we were uncontested. We were left alone. And we can continue on doing our little flank. So I'm now behind the entire enemy team. If they are where I think they are. Or I might come at least from the side, because they might be starting to turn in right now, and I'm sorry I tapped out there. That's why it froze for a little bit. And then I noticed the MiG-23 coming in. He definitely sees us. 6 kilometers. I'm going to be shooting my first 530 at him. Keep looking around. This guy doesn't break the chaff, or he doesn't break the lock. He doesn't try to notch us, and he goes down relatively quick. I'm not going to shoot my missile at him instantly, because I have a feeling he is going to die. But the MiG-23 actually dodges the missile somewhat. So then I queue the second one up, and that one is going to track rather nicely as well. Down he goes, 2 kills, 2 530s, and that's very common with this thing as long as people don't really know how to deal with them. You just need to break the lock. I'm going to tell it to you again, you need to break the lock. It's very slow, and the splash range is massive, so it kind of turns into this landmine, that you can't really roll around. Now you can dodge it, of course, but people aren't really used to these slow missiles yet. And I completely whiffed that. I don't know why I even attempted to shoot that missile. But people don't really know how to deal with the 530s yet. That will come, but early bird gets the worm, so to speak. And right now it's relatively easy to get hits with them. I wait with the Magic 2s a little bit longer normally. So I have a 100% certainty that the heat signature is big enough. I notice that he's not pre-flaring. He might not have him bound even. And because of that, even if he flares at like 1 kilometer, he needs to drop his afterburner. And a lot of people don't have the reaction time for that. So when you shoot at like 1.6 and you shoot that missile in, Magic 2 is so ridiculously quick with a little bit of desync, with a little bit of slow reaction. If they don't drop that afterburner with flares, it is going to hit. I then turn around. I'm going to start chasing these two guys, but the MiG-27 is going to be absolutely dicked on by my entire team that is coming in. So I'm not going to be boring you with that because it's just an empty chase and I don't actually do anything. And here it comes. F-14's doing that thing again. I just turn around, just like that. Look at that, man. Like, come on, dude. That's what? That guy just shot like 6 of them off and there's like 3 more in the air. What's that, like 7 or 8? I don't know. I don't have words for this. It looks like I'm playing Project Wingman out here against like one actual player. But missiles coming in everywhere. Most of them are going to miss. And just look at this, dude. It's kind of comical, really. But I like to just be safe and turn around prematurely in case one of them goes for me. Because sometimes Phoenixes like to just track for no reason. And sometimes you just don't really see them. Some might be invisible even. So I'm not going to take the risk. I'm just going to do a 180. Break the lock 100%. They might go for my teammates. But at least I will then be completely okay. So let's look at our positioning again. I'm kind of staying near this cloud. Gives me a little bit of optical visual cover. And I'm just waiting for my team to start doing that thing. I'm just staying near the outskirts and I know that that furball down there is inviting the entire enemy team to dive on them. So I'm gonna stay next to it. And you don't have to do this every game. You don't always need to wait at altitude for your team to get engaged. Because that's something that's probably not gonna pay off very often. Good job F4J. F14 goes down. Because very often if you always play like this is your textbook gameplay, very often you'll find yourself, you'll come in when the game is already lost. So you need to make sure that you time it well. MiG-23 coming in. He's coming straight at us. We're going to shoot the 530 off and hope it will connect. I might be able to switch to normal tracking in a second. But I have a solid lock. Missile is tracking. And yeah, doesn't normally happen that often, but hey, this is Gaijin after all. It doesn't always work perfectly. I think he actually notched us. Should have switched to normal tracking there because he wasn't. I don't think he was chaffing anyway. And then that missile doesn't go for anything either because he actually dropped his afterburner. And you can tell that then the Magic 2 isn't really that much of an issue anymore. You can still very easily flare it, but the range on these is still absolute bullshit. And because you can now queue them up in a single second, poof, just like that. Magics are amazing and probably one of my favorite heat seekers in the game. So we shoot the Su-17 down after we dive into the game. Not much happened here. I'm gonna queue up a blind hunt because this guy has been unspotted the entire match. And there he comes. I notice that these missiles are coming in and instead of trying to notch it, instead of trying to do anything fancy, dodging it last second, I'm just gonna turn away. And if this guy thinks about chasing me, that's gonna be heat seeker. I turn in, drop the afterburner, drop some flares. I still have a teammate around, so if he decides to chase me, he's going to end up killing himself. Which is great for me as well. So we take a quick glance here, 1600 kills in the F14. So we know he is spaded, we know he has experience, but does he have experience dealing with Mirage 2000? I doubt it, because this thing has only been out for a few hours. So I'm going to be going straight here, because it's not Brightmond anymore. And I'm just going to be building up some speed. Full afterburner, half afterburner, I'm kind of indecisive here, but then I notice he's putting it into a climb. And I already know exactly how this is going to end. I've pulse Doppler on right now. I'm just going to keep him locked, see what he does. If he drops any chaff, if he drops any flares. He's dropping flares. I'm not seeing any chaff. I might be seeing this wrong, because they might have changed the visual model of it. So I think to myself, I'm just going to shoot a missile at him. But, yeah. He dodges it at the perfect opportunity. A little bit unfortunate. But this guy thinks we are playing prop battles. and I'm just going to be pitching up straight for him. And in this kind of scenario, it actually has more power than the Kavir. That's more engine power, and because of the weight as well, it's going to have amazing retention when you pitch straight up. So we are still going 800, and we just click him out of the air. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the next one.